Ladies and gents, a very warm welcome to you, boys and girls, once again to a very fresh out of the box episode of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby. It's good to have you with us. Happy bank holiday. I hope you had a good one. Ellis is back, locked and loaded. How are you, champ? My word, you are bowling around with a lot of energy and gusto at the moment. Fire and brimstone. How you getting on?
Trying to catch Sam on the leaderboard. So I've got 2 games to score 25 tries.
You're ripping it up, making good progress. Hoff is back in town. Are we enjoying a sort of nice, peaceful week, or are there crises and dramas?
Have I caused any drama, you mean? Do you know what? There's been no self-sabotage. I tell you what, there has been. I actually went and visited Old Coventryans Rugby Club the other day for NatWest and helped build a gazebo, a pergola and some patio, and had a time of my life. Met some incredible volunteers, so that was brilliant. And I did a massive DJ set for Defected, and I have not been as nervous for anything than that in the last 10 years. So much so my hands were shaking. I was literally shaking like a shitting dog. It was terrifying. So it was nice to remember that I'm human and what sort of nerves feels like pre-performances like this. Trying to like style stuff out, but it went relatively well. So apart from that, mate, bit of charity, bit of DJing, bit of suntan. What more do you need?
A man forever giving. Lovely to have you with us. A particularly warm welcome, though, to our special guest this week. It is very nice of him to join us for the main event. A man who has had a massive few weeks and has got a massive few months to come as well, both in the Premiership, obviously, where he's already broken the season's try-scoring record, as Ellis alluded to, and for the British and Irish Lions, where, well, who knows? The script is there to be written. Sam Simmonds, it is very nice to have you on The Good, the Bad and the Rugby. How are tricks?
Yeah, cheers for having me. All good. Bit sunburnt. Bit hot playing yesterday. 1:30 kickoff was roaring sun. I think it was about I felt about 25 degrees in Exeter. But other than that, mate, all good.
Not really for the beetroot of skin, is it? It's not for the. It's a bit like that movie Blade, isn't it? As soon as they go outside. Maybe that's why you ran so fast, Chief, trying to dodge the sunbeams.
I would go so far as to say the Exeter Chiefs boys, rightly so, have the best tans in the Premiership, all fall in behind Henry Slade in that regard. But I'm a bit disappointed, Sam, that sunburn is still on the agenda, despite the fact you've had 4 or 5 years down there. I would have thought, A, the base tan was always very robust, and B, just a little light sprinkling of, whatever it might be, Nivea Factor 20 would do the job for you.
I mean, 50, definitely 50. Yeah, right. But I mean, you look at Yannis Kirsten, and you can't get much whiter than him. He's... even when it's cloudy, he lavers the 50 on as well.
How's he with the sun, though, coming from SA?
Just like so aware of what he needs to be wearing each and every day. Even in the winter, like he's clued up on it massively.
Dickie burning away or not?
Hey?
Is Dickie burning away?
Oh, wow. Mate, that guy, he spends so much... Well, actually, he's back on the golf now. So he's outside a bit more rather than just gaming. But he's white.
He's always got those, rank farmer's tans, Dickie has, doesn't he? Yeah. Always, just like, back of his neck, cut off of the sleeves. He's unbelievable.
But for people that know him, like, he's just so addictive. Like, literally, we played a golf day. He came along. I'm terrible, but I played. And since then, it's like every day off. 18
he's back
holes.
into it, is he?
Yeah, he's back into it.
Gaming as well, or just golf now?
I think he probably is gaming, yeah. Maybe just cut that down to like 7 hours a day, maybe.
A night.
I love this because every time we get the Exeter boys on, they either go like ease in or they do each other, and then we have to get another one back on as a right of reply. So obviously Jack Knoll did Slade for having terrible breath and terrible chat, right. and he had to come on. He had to come on and defend it. We've now made out Dickie's addictive personality, 7 hours gaming, the rest of the time playing golf and avoiding. Imagine being.
This isn't me going at Dickie, by the way, because he'll get me back even worse. This is just me saying this is what he's like.
Everyone and we also wouldn't be able to get Dickie on because you'd be able to use about 5% of the content because every other word is a C-bomb. So.
We're already low on usable content with Haskell on board, so to bring Luke on as well is obviously going to test the editors. There are a lot of things to talk to you about. Where should we start first of all? Should we start Prem first of all, Sam? Well, let's do record first of all. Well done. I mean, it's a team game. We know that. It's week by week. It's been a hell of a season for you so far. Have you given yourself a little pat on the back? What was the celebration off the back of breaking the record?
No, not too much. To be honest, I want to keep going. I want to try and make sure no one ever gets there again. But I obviously didn't set out the season to try and break a record in try scoring. It's always been sunk in my game that I love doing, and I think by the end of this season, the boys have almost wanted me to get the record more than I've wanted it myself. So it's a massive reward for me. But like looking at what it adds to the team, what it adds to the boys as well, like it's good.
I love how fired up they all get when you score. It's class.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, I love it.
Dickie's like right behind me, getting mental every time. Like Rob said it in the media as well, and it just shows personal accolades. Yeah, amazing. But if it's adding to team performance, it's adding to everyone else pushing their game on as well. Like that's what we need. And we said it at the start of the year that if we have players having their best seasons or second best seasons, pushing on from what we did last year, then we're going to be going in the right direction. So.
I was going to ask a question about something, but I'll come back. I wanted to know the very fact that everybody does get so excited about you scoring a try. When we had Eddie Jones on our very first episode of Good Bad Rugby, just as the pandemic had sort of started, he said it was the team that loved playing with each other and loved the game that were going to do the best. Do you really feel that at Exeter? Because that's what I see more than anyone else. Everybody is so pumped for each other. It's like an incredible family down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to say because I haven't really experienced any other club. I've been at Exeter since I was 18, but it's definitely something that's built and has added to the culture, and just like celebrating together. And a period of time when we were told we weren't allowed to celebrate, we kind of took that a little bit like, well, that's the whole part of the game that we enjoy, Scoring tries is the huge part of the game, and now we're being told we're not even allowed to celebrate. So, once we were lucky enough to score 12 tries yesterday, so we could celebrate as many as we can. But it's a huge part of the game. It's the part where you can actually show true emotion, to be able to celebrate with each other for 5-10 seconds, and it's great.
You know how when a golfer hits a hole in one, he has to buy everyone in the clubhouse a drink? I'm just wondering whether you're on a similar thing at Exeter, and that's why everyone gets so excited. Is it genuine appreciation for your try-scoring art, or is there some fine that you have to pay every time the team puts you over?
I haven't been told. I haven't been told that yet. Maybe at the end of the season. But no, it is like once there was a chance of me beating the record, I think that's when boys then. Because they weren't like it at the start of the season. They were kind of like, another one. Like he scored another one. But as it got closer to beating a record, and obviously I was able to do it with fans back in stadiums as well, which adds to it hugely. Like playing at Brentford, I think it was 4,000, and there were so many Exeter Chiefs fans there as well. So it's just nice to be able to. Whether it's me scoring or Joe or anyone that plays, really, just to be able to celebrate together again is great.
I would say that no one's ever been that happy to see me score a try. Like I've never had a teammate who was ever that happy. But until actually my sort of, I think one of my last sort of seasons at WAS, I hadn't scored for like 5 years. And I somehow got the ball rightly, like managed to score it, and everyone was coming around, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, just this overwrought joy, like you've scored however many 20 odd tries, and I got one. It was like the greatest day of my life. And then they were like, actually, we're probably just not going to pass the ball again. So that was probably the best way of doing it. But it is amazing. I think one thing I want to know with you at Exeter was whether there's a fight for who gets on the back of that more ball, because obviously I've seen you quoted talking about Thomas Waldron being a fantastic kind of inspiration, you seeing him consistently being top try scorer for the club. Is there like a battle, or do you have to like start bribing the line out coach to go, listen, I want to be on the end of it? Because you boys are just known for scoring driving tries.
I think it's me being shorter and smaller. I'm not one of the options to go up in the line out, so I'm probably first on the ball. Rob Hunter likes the shorter, more explosive players on the ball to try and drive the ball forward first. But like, you're not going to put Johnny Hill or Johnny Gray on the ball because they can't bend down to get the ball anyway. So you might as well stick them up, get someone like Dave Ewers back lifting, and then you just it's kind of like trying to create the perfect maul. And then
that's what you tell him, and that's what you tell him every boss.
Exactly.
Boss, come on, mate. They're too tall, Chief. They can't bend down. You need the power. Remember about the perfect maul.
And then it's a fight between me and Dickie to whether he takes it off me or not. But he's pretty good, you know. He's pretty good at just leaving me to it and hitting me as hard as he can.
He's had a few for England, actually. To be fair,
Yeah.
He went on a sort of 4 or 5 game running scoring streak, didn't he? You mentioned a really interesting thing there, and I'd be fascinated for all three of you to pile in on this, but the element of fun, and actually you look at the teams at the top, they seem to be the teams that have the most fun, and obviously that's easier when you are winning and therefore at the top. But I suppose if you look at Saracens from about 4 or 5 years ago, I remember them all piling off to the David Hay Klitschko fight, I think it was, in Munich or something like that, and everyone suddenly was like, wow, I'd love to be a part of that. And that sort of cultural, you got to enjoy it as you live it type thing kind of began from there. And is that, I mean, do you compare notes on the levels of fun with when you're in an England camp, you know, with what other teams are doing? Is that something less to focus on? Is it something you are jealous of, or is it just a
jealous? Not jealous for people having fun. I'm happy. Like, I've got a lot of mates at Chiefs, and you got like a cult down there, and it's class. And I think everyone actually wants to be a part of it, whether they say they do or don't. Because, well, I know a few people who won't enjoy it, all the cock slapping, but it's such good fun. You can see that on the telly. Yeah, Hask, small piece. But and then like Sarri's sort of, I'd say, paved the way before obviously Exeter's climbed to the top. Sarri's sort of paved the way with the trips abroad, and then you've seen Quins doing it when Guzzy went there, and I think like rugby almost done the reverse cycle, didn't it? Of at the beginning when it was more amateur, everyone was going away, always on the piss and having loads of fun and that, and then it got real professional all of a sudden. You couldn't go away, couldn't drink with the boys, and then they brought it back in. As long as you sort of do your bidding, do your work on the field, then you can enjoy yourself. And I'd say with Leicester, obviously because we've been underperforming for a few years, we probably didn't find time for that because everything's always so dark, and you think, fuck, we just got to go back to the drawing board every week as opposed to actually enjoying ourselves. And then now we're sort of getting a little bit more success, getting to a final again, winning a few games. We're trying to find time for that, maybe a curry here or there or a few pints for the boys. I don't think we're going to Munich for any fights anytime soon, but there's definitely room for that. And you can see, like with Chiefs, just breeding success all the time. That's why they can enjoy themselves so much.
I think winning is a massive part of that. Like, if you're in a winning team, then you're going to be enjoying it anyway, because it's your job, and you want to do as good as you can, and you want to win trophies. You want to win as many games as you can. But if you are, lower down in the table and you're not winning, then ultimately, like, there's no fun in that. The game is competitive, and you want to win as many games as you can. And like Leicester turned it around kind of with Steve Warwick there now, and like Genge said, getting to a final, winning a lot of games this year. The fun element then kind of comes back into it because you're doing what you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the worst thing in the world as well is like if you have a social one week and you lose the next, it's because of the social.
Yeah, definitely.
You shouldn't have had a social. That's why you lost. So that also comes into it because we weren't very consistent. It was always because we went out for a few beers that we lost.
It's a very fine line, Hask, and you spend most of your life on the wrong side of it. But I'm just looking at clubs potentially that try to have the fun. It goes horribly wrong, and it sort of does. It's more detrimental than good. I mean, have you been in, or do you know of clubs who try to manufacture that moment, and actually it just ends up being a bit of a sort of soft blancmange?
Yeah, it's difficult because I think a lot of clubs look to others to see how they do it, and I think it takes confidence, for example, to do what Saracens did. Consistently. Every season, sending the lads off for a trip before a big game. More often than not, it was before Wasps. And sort of my team talk when I was captain was pretty much made for me. We're like, these guys don't even care. They've been on the piss all week. No respect for us. We go out and play, and they're thinking the other changing room, well, we have to win at all costs because we've been on the piss, and they won't let us go on again and have any fun. So they turn out even better than they were, and then we ultimately lose. And we go to the coach and go, well, maybe we should have gone on the piss and had a bit of a week off. And they're like, no, you lost. You're terrible. I think some things rugby are done out of fear in terms of, we've always done it, so we need to do it. But I think that certain teams do try it. But there's the old analogy of like, if you You know, if you open an Indian restaurant and business is a bit slow and things aren't going that well, and a Chinese restaurant opens up next door and it starts selling piles of Chinese, what do you do? Start selling Chinese, or do you sell better food in what you do? And kind of looking over your fence at other people, how they do it, you've kind of got to nail what works for you. And I think certain clubs and the coaching staff at, say, Exeter, it really suits them. They seem to have a good level of respect. And, you know, it was the first time, I think, middle of this season, I saw Rob Baxter get a little bit upset. You know, he's normally very level, very positive, very direct, but he was kind of quite upset. He didn't feel that the Chiefs were playing as well as they should do, represented themselves, and was quite sharp. And there was those couple of games that didn't go their way, and then they kicked on. And I think, you know, enjoyment is paramount. And teams I've been involved in, like back in the day with Wasps, you know, under Warren Gatton and Sean Edwards, you know, they actively encourage you to go out and have fun, be part of a team, do everything together. But also train the house down, and they would give you enough rope to hang yourself. And that seems to be the same thing with Exeter. I don't know. Would you say that that's the secret, the fun, but also kind of that respect for what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, Rob, you know, realizes that you do have to have fun, but if you're going too far and the results are poor, and you train like a bag of shit, then obviously you're getting it wrong. But I think it's ultimately in the players' hands. You know, the culture and what they want does come from, you know, starts at the top with Rob. But I mean, we've had players there at the club now for 10 years, and it's worked the same for the last 10 years. And, you know, Knowles, East Lady and those boys know what it's about and know that we can have fun. But at the end of the day, it is about, you know, pushing on and getting to win trophies. And you know, last year we showed that, and we're trying to do that again this year. But we do like to have a little bit of fun along the way as well.
Who is the Chiefs' totem at the moment? Who is the most important person to that culture?
Oh, it's hard to put it on
Give
one
us three.
person, isn't it? All right, yeah. Stu Townsend probably is my number one. Had a tough year last year with injuries and stuff like that, but he actually started the 2017 final that we won. It was unbelievable in that game, but he just you'd know him from 20s, Genge, but
the prawn.
Yeah, the prawn. Yeah, he just doesn't. No matter who you are, mate, he's coming for you. Like, you could be. I mean, Stuart Hogg signs for us last year, the year before. 2-time British and Irish Lion, and Stu's straight in there, just getting into him about his lid.
He couldn't have been giving him chat about his lid.
Mate, that's the worst thing, mate. Stu's lid is terrible, but he just goes at anyone that's got a bad lid. But how did Stuart
Hogg take that on sort of in the early hours of his?
I think he took it. I think he didn't like it. Right. Talking to some other boys, saying that he didn't take banter well, but he actually is like left his ego at the door and just like added to the group so much. Like Hoggy absolutely loves it. But yeah, for someone like Stu Townsend to just go at like a 60 cap international, like it just shows like there's no hierarchy at the club. Like you're a Chiefs player now. It doesn't matter what you've done before. So I can't think of three. So I'm going to just leave it with Stu. And I think he just he's a great player as well, but loves the steam.
He also went at Jeff Parlin, didn't he, when he came, and he was fuming, wasn't he?
Slady did as well.
Was it Slady?
Yeah, one of the socials, Slady did something, and I think Jeff Parlin like smacked him, like went to smack him, and the boys were like, "What are you doing?" Like getting it wrong, and like after that, like he bought into it. But
class. I
think it works down here, and we enjoy it.
It seems like you said that nobody is bigger than the club at all. It's like everyone's just on that same level. Because I think we did hear that story about Jeff, that someone poured a pint over his head or threw a pint, and he just tried to bang Slady. And normally, obviously, at Leicester, everyone would be like, yeah, you know, or back in the day, we were like, yeah, fair play. That, yeah. Everyone's like, mate, what are you doing? You're like ruining the whole party. Like, you know,
this is what we do.
Yeah. Is that kind of the vibe there?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely, like that. That is how it is. And being in the academy myself and seeing that happening, it just allowed me to like come out my shell a little bit and like add to things here and there, and And then as you become, a senior academy player and a first team player and as a senior player, you just grow within that. And I think, like I said, Stu's the best example of that, because he got stick when he first came, when he was 16, 17. He joined the club when he was 16 on a 4-year deal. First year, no money, like absolute cabbage. But like has been there ever since, and he's had his injuries. But like he's Exeter Chiefs, I think.
Do you think it helps that you guys are stuck down where you are, out the way? Because some of the characters, like Alex's point about, we've had the boat trip at Wasps, that, we took a party boat onto a river and that went wrong. Like the boat was designed for parties on a river and that went bad. You've obviously heard other things where, boys go out and they try to have a night out or a fancy dress and the hotel ends up burning down or something. Some of your characters in the Exeter squad, without naming names, are pretty unstoppable. And I mean, is there like a code of silence down in Exeter where basically like all the restaurants and stuff are just like, no, we didn't see anything. We didn't know anything. And it's like, no, I swear I saw him, that guy's arms, someone's left an arm on the floor. They're like, no, didn't see it.
Whenever your boys have come into camp, we've never heard anything about your socials. And it's like I said to you, it's that sort of cult feeling that almost makes you want to like be a part of it, because no one ever finds anything out. I love it.
I think the bloke that probably does put out those fires is probably Rob Baxter. King of Exeter, King of Devon.
How many does he start relative to how many?
Yeah, probably not as many as he used to. But like it is like being in a bubble down here. Like, it's not too far away from like London or anything like that. But when we have our socials, it's class and we enjoy it. But then when we do actually go out and have a social in London, it's like, what is this place? Like it's like nothing we've ever seen before.
Can you tell us, are there any snitches? Because when the guys used to play in Toulon, apparently the owner used to drive round in his car on the nights out, like checking stuff out. Because if they say, for example, Toulon lost, someone at a bar or a fan would call the owner or call the club and dob lads in. I remember there was a story about Stefan Armitage once getting caught out. Like, if they were winning, nobody said anything. But if they weren't winning, people would dob them in. There must be a few Keno fans have gone, isn't that Luke Cowan-Dickie with a bloke in a headlock about to throw him in the sea and then suddenly calling Rob up, or does that?
Yeah,
or is it literally everyone's on board?
Nah, there have been times where some boys act the idiot a little bit, and like I said, Exeter is a small place, and someone sees it and it gets back to Rob, and just a bit of an unfortunate moment. But like it's never anything mental, like nothing being burned down or anything like that. But if you do get in trouble, you can probably expect on Monday Rob will be having you in the office.
Right.
So we got.
Hang on. What happens when you're called into the office?
It's never happened to me. So.
Go on, boys.
No, I was saying that we had a team trip out, and this is how I mean, the modern world's a very dangerous place to do any of this stuff. Now we stopped for a bus trip, and the lads went for a wee on the side of the road. And the next day, they got a letter to the club going, one of your players, I won't mention his name, exposed himself to my entire family. This whole long letter. And all the guy did was just took a wee by offence. Basically wrote in saying, look, they exposed themselves. My kids were there. They've never seen anything like it. And it went on and on and on. But at the bottom of it, which was the real kind of kicker of the whole thing, said, if you were to supply us with some season tickets, we can probably forget about it and not go to the press. Brush it under the carpet.
Brilliant.
And we had another bloke, one of the boys ate someone's burger in a McDonald's. They walked over to him, took his burger off him. And the bloke obviously went mad. And obviously, I think launchers tried to defuse it. They called the player the Hamburglar from the adverts. And they wrote into the club. And the guy came in and was like sitting in the office. And the player had to come in and Dai's office. And they had like this full dress down. So I'm just really envious that you guys do it down there, because anywhere else, people are writing letters. You have see on camera phones. Fair play. I'm very jealous.
Hask, you'd be very sad not to be in the Mail Online sidebar of shame quite as much so. You'd miss your presence in the tabloids. Quick interlude. Which coach in your career has given each of you the best dressing down? Who was the one guy who, if you were called in on a Monday morning, you thought this is going to require a proper tin hat? Sam obviously hasn't been in on a Monday morning because we can see the halo. Ellis, Hask?
Oh, I've had so many.
Have you?
Mate, literally it's different, isn't it? Because different stages of your career, you fear different people a lot more. I've had dressing downs at under 18s from like Alan Martinovich, Ian Peel, Eddie. I've had some bad ones from him. Cockers, Andy Robinson. If they've coached me, they've probably dressed me down, to be honest.
And Ellis, do you find the screaming and the shouting worse than the sort of silent, quiet, authoritative, but I'm about to blow?
My problem is with the screaming and the shouting, when I was younger anyway, probably not so much anymore, it was that I didn't react well to that. And that was why I didn't really get on in school. If like a coach started screaming and shouting at me, I was probably screaming and shouting back. So I think the older I've got, the quieter the conversations have got, and they probably mean a lot more because you remember the words, you know. When you see red, you don't remember anything that's said. But I think a lot of coaches as well, some of them got that sort of school teacher. Sometimes, you know, they've a lot of them come from teaching backgrounds, Robbo, for example. And it just didn't work with me. So I think that as soon as they learn that I react better to the quiet word, and I'll probably learn my lesson from that, the relationship goes a lot smoother.
Clever. Hask?
I don't really, do you know what? I haven't really got dressed down. It's sort of a bit like a knock on the door, and like sort of it's like it's a bit
not dressed down.
They don't really dress me down. It's normally so severe. It doesn't get like that. No one's shouting. It's normally like a knock on the door. Could you go and hit, you know, take your phone off you, and you sit in a room and there's a lot of silence and people are coming in. There's a lot of like lawyers opening documentation and stuff. It's like, it's always quite intense when stuff like that happens. There's not really any shouting. There's a lot of like tutting. I've never really, honestly, I've never really had, I mean, I told the only time that a coach ever really shouted at me was Warren Gatland, when I didn't know, unbeknown to me, they were renegotiating my second year of my academy contract. And I think my agent or something had asked for, it's like 20p a mile for petrol or something like that, because I was doing a lot of community stuff because I wasn't playing. And Gats came and was like, your fucking agent wants fucking this. You can fuck off to another club. And I was like, I remember Dai Young got upset and he said, you know, you want to fucking sign for somewhere else? I'll fucking drive you. I'll drive you there now. I was like, oh, fucking okay. And those are the most severe things. But otherwise, no, most of it's like real deadly, you know, lots of people in a room, people frantically taking notes, and so the police not far away. That's normally where I end up. So we don't really shout. I'm quite, you know, I get shouted at by a smaller person. It's never going to really work. So, you know, like Martin Johnson, you know, he's given me a stern word when that thing in Australia happened, the Boats and Hose tour. Do you remember that story of the boats? Yeah, like Prestige Worldwide. And that was like, you know, he was in a shower and he was probably about this far away from me. And he was like, did you fill up, were you on a boat full of prostitutes? It's like, no, I wasn't. What were they? I said, I didn't do it. Well, I was like, we didn't fucking do it. And he's like, well, you know, if I find out you fucking doing it, I was like, we didn't do it. And luckily we didn't do it. And
was he getting wet as he was shouting at you?
No, but I've had that.
Was he washing his hair as he kind of was stressing you down?
Twice in my career. Like when you're in the England age group stuff, you've kind of got some of these coaches that sort of nearly made it or didn't quite make it, or some of them made it, but they're kind of so old school. And they get you around in a huddle and they're like, fucking come on. And one year, I think Richard Blaze, who's obviously now coaching, was in the huddle with him, and he was getting so fired up. His coach was like, fucking hell, Blazer, we need you. And Blazer leant against the shower, and it just started spraying him with water in the huddle, in the because he had the forwards in there. And he was like, shh, like hot burning water. The side of his face is burning. And we're like this, I'm like this. And he's like, Doc, I don't. And it's, shh, mate, everyone's getting soaked, but nobody moved. But then later on, that happened the same thing with John Wells in an England change room with Graham Roundtree in South Africa. Same thing. Right, forwards in the fucking showers. You're like, oh God, this is going to get intense. Right, bind up. Right, these fucking South Africans leant against it. Shh, again, people pissing themselves. And everyone's like, fucking hell, Haskell's crying. It's the national anthem. He's real fired up. No, it's because someone's burnt their face and back and was too frightened to move. They were drenched. So those are the only times I
That's
it, really.
Brilliant. The most memorable one I got that actually hit me the deepest was 18's tour. We were in like the Marriott and we played a bit of touch rugby before. And there was this massive chandelier fire exit thing. And I remember we were playing touch and whatever, Charlie Ewells was captain. He was like, boys, we could play, but just don't hit this fucking light. And I've chucked like a no look out the back door and just splattered this chandelier. Is smashed, and all the boys, because we're only 18, Stu was there. Everyone just dispersed, and I was there like, and Charlie, to be fair to him, was like, mate, I'll tell him it was me, and I was like, no, I'll tell him. But before that, because on 17s, I got told I didn't do the first bit of the Fira bit of the 18s because I fucked about too much. I was like taking mattresses out of rooms and put them over the balcony, just stupid shit, that you do when you're younger. So they weren't going to take me, and they were like, if you behave, because it was very schoolboy. It was schoolboys, really. Anyway, so I've smashed this chandelier, and I've gone, Char, please go. I'll tell Charlotte, team manager, who's now the senior manager. I was like, I'll tell Charlotte, but please, can you just go tell the coaches? I'm so sorry, because I didn't have good communication skills of adults at the time. And little do I now. And I went to the toilet for a piss, and Ian Peels walked in, who was the forwards coach, and he's like, I'm taking a piss. And I could see him, feel him staring at me. He's taking a piss. He's looked at me, he's gone, it's not a good start, is it, Ellis? And I'm like shaking my cock. I'm like, sorry, mate. But it hit me so deep. I didn't even wash my hands. I just walked straight out. That was it. Proper sentimental.
I love the fact it's a no look out the back door. It's got to be a little flambe move. If you're gonna cause havoc, do it with a bit of flair. I love it. Sam, anything to contribute, or are we keeping you nice and clean here?
The stories are good. Yeah, I'll leave it to them.
We're just going to keep you out of trouble. We've got enough people in trouble. Let's keep it nice and clean. Who is the one person at Exeter that finds himself getting dragged into trouble inadvertently more than they should? Is there anyone who just sort of is a magnet for this kind of thing? Or are you all look after each other?
In the past, it would have definitely been Dickie. But he doesn't have time for that now. He's a dad, he's a golfer, he's a gamer. But from some of the stories I've heard, not just at Exeter, but at England, age groups and senior teams and all that, mate. He's bucked his ideas up since then, because I think he could have been going down a bad path. But lucky he's not, because what a player he is,
Yeah.
But some of the stories, you're just like, that isn't real. If you didn't know him, you'd be like, that can't be real.
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them, and I'm like, no way. But it was like trying to communicate with him. It was like talking to him like an impenetrable force. It didn't matter what I said. Yeah. It was just completely blank.
Yeah.
And I was like, I might be fearful of my life, because also he's got that horrific grip strength. Like we found out when we went whitewater rafting, and I threw him in, and he grabbed the front of my life jacket, and I could not get him off. I could not get him off. His hand, mate, the strength of him was incredible. So I just left him alone. But I've seen it. It's like he just switches off. He's unbelievable. Yeah. What a player, what a person. But if he has a few jars, he's impenetrable. You cannot get through to him. Slady's the only one who can calm him down.
And Knowles.
Slade and Knowles, you have to rub him on the back, or like at the Avengers movie where she puts the hand out of the Hulk and stirs it. Honestly, like that.
But he gets really white. He goes even white.
But you lure him in with a beer, like Dickie, and he comes over in and he's like, calm down. The sun is setting, Dickie. The sun is setting, and then he just goes.
Oh, he's class, mate.
Legend.
That's gonna be another show sometime soon. Hopefully, we'll get
10 years
on standby. 10 years. Quick squiz at the top. We got our top four: Briz, X, Sale, and Quins. And just from a sort of layman's point of view, that is pretty meaty. But from a Chiefs point of view, are you happy with where you're at right now, Sam? Are you watching what others are doing? Do you just concentrate week by week? Or you
we obviously watched. We were last game of the weekend, weren't we? So we watched. I watched the Bristol Sale game. What a game that was! So physical. But that's what you get when you play against Sale, especially at their place. But yeah, you look at Quins, they were the form team for the last 2-3 months, playing some unbelievable rugby, and it's probably a deserved top four. We're hoping to win this weekend and try and nail. I think it could be going to the last game, whether you nail down first or second spot with the result with Sale beating Bristol. So still to play for. But
you talk about teams in the flow and that kind of thing, and do you feel that you're doing exactly what you want to be doing? I imagine the weekend was. I don't know how much you take out of that, but do you feel you're where you need to be?
Well, I feel like looking back at our last 5 results, 5 wins, and we're definitely hitting hitting the right gears at the right time. Obviously had like a little bit of a blip through the middle of the season. Pitch was absolutely stinking, and we just had a few boys away, and kind of just for one reason or another, we just weren't playing great in some big games that should have meant a lot to us. So I think that kind of switched with firstly the Wasps game at home and then the Bristol game away. Those two games, because obviously we'd lost previously to them in the season. Those two games are ones that we needed to target, and the Bristol game is probably one of our best games of the season. Just not everything went right, but just in the areas that we were physical, we were just pretty dominant that day. So we obviously got two regular games left, and it's tough games: Northampton away and Sale at home. So still going to be tough to push for that first or second spot.
I'm always fascinated. I mean, it's always interesting to hear what makes winners tick, but I'm always very interested in when winners are not necessarily doing what they should be doing, how they react at that point. And Rob, post-match, etc., always seems very calm. He always knows exactly where his team is relative to what's happened, etc. But when you had that sort of, you got stuck in the mud for a few weeks, was he very calm? Was there a bit of carrot, stick? How did you guys get yourself going again at that point?
We had a little bit of a crisis meeting.
Did you really?
Well, not a crisis meeting. We have a players' meeting every Monday anyway, but it was just a bit like we had a couple of results. I think it was 2 losses on the bounce. It was Bristol and Wasps, and you could just tell that the motivation wasn't where it should be for those games, big games. Like the Wasps game was a replay of the final before, and then the Bristol game was like a top 2, clash. So those should have been the biggest games of the year, and it just didn't feel like that through the week. It didn't feel like that in the game. And to take, we took a bit of a hammering at Wasps. We only scored 1 try, and that hurt a lot of us. So I think after that, and once we started winning, and the motivation started to come, we got boys back from injury, boys back from international duty, and the last 5 weeks have shown a lot of people. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We don't want to just win games. We want to show them that we're fighting for the trophy, and we're trying to win it again, not just retain it, just win it again.
Interesting. Here's one for you, Ellis. Pick us a winner.
Of those top 4.
Yeah, Briz, Sale and Quins.
It'd be easy to tell you after this weekend, because I haven't played against Bristol this season, I don't think. I personally think when Exeter are firing, they are the best team in the league, if you ask me. Hopefully none of the Bristol teams see that before this weekend. But obviously Bristol are amazing, got some proper globetrotters. I think Sale are also very physical if you play into like their game plan. I think they're the best at what they do. Quins pull rabbits out of hats. They've got some proper Ric Flair players in Deese and in Marcus and a few of those boys. But I think Chiefs, in terms of the unity and having done it before, if you look at these other 3 teams in the top 4 now, I think Sale's 5,000 days or something since they last hit the contention for the top 4. Quins, I can't remember, and Bristol obviously been a while too. So I think Chiefs have been there, done it. They know how to win the semis, know how to win the finals. And that would be where my money would go if I was a betting man. That's no advice, by the way. I don't want to get stitched up.
All right. We'll caveat that left, right and centre. It's going to be fascinating. We have got a belting end of the season. That much is for sure. Sam, I want to talk to you about obviously what's to come. You and I had a nice chat. I can't remember. It was probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I think it was, on our Rugby Reclined. And I'm just going to read a quote back to you. I asked you about Lions, and you said it's up to me, isn't it? I've got to keep my form going. Obviously, it would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? It would be amazing, but I would be very surprised if I was involved. And if I wasn't, I wouldn't be that surprised because of the way things are at the moment. But stranger things have happened. Sam Simmonds, you are a British and Irish Lion in 2021.
Yeah.
Does it feel, are you now like, right, I'm into this, I'm ready to go? Or is there a little bit of you, when you hear that you're off with the Lions this summer, still thinks, whoa, dreams come true type stuff?
Yeah, definitely the latter. I mean, I still got to get on the plane. I still got to, keep playing well, remain fit, and but I was sat here watching it, and I just couldn't believe it. Like with how it was alphabetical and the names that had come out before me, 2 number 8s, and I was.
Who was before you?
Jack Conan and Falatau. So I was like, I was just like, that's it, innit? Like, switch off. But yeah, I just couldn't believe it. My Joe FaceTimed me straight away. He was back home with my dad and uncle, and they cracked a beer open straight away. And like you said, it is a dream come true. But it was nothing. It wasn't something that I dreamt of as a youngster or as a professional, in the early days. Or I think I said before, like my dream was just to play for Exeter, because Exeter being in the Premiership was massive for Devon and just like down this way, really. To have a team in the Premiership was huge, and that's what everyone at the club at the time wanted to do. They wanted to play in the Premiership because no one could see us even staying up, let alone getting top 4 or getting European Cup rugby. And for me, it was to try and play in the LB Cup at the time and the A-League, and try and potentially push on and play Premiership rugby. And that's all I wanted to do. I felt like that was the pinnacle of my career. And then things just happened so quickly with this, 2017 season, I think, 2017-18 season, after we first won it. Then to get selected for England, like I think 6 months after my Premiership debut. And then unfortunately have an injury and be out for, nearly a year. But then after that, my goal was to play for England again. And then once the Lions year comes round and you do start playing well and your form's good and people start talking about you, and Warren Gatlin's at the games and stuff like that, and you're like, who else is he watching? Like, is he watching me? Like, because he could have got in the fallow weeks, he would come to Premiership games, whereas in the past you'd only see him at Six Nations games or something like that. So it just proved to me that he wasn't just looking at people playing the Six Nations, and that's unbelievable.
Did you have any tip-offs, conversations? I mean, you didn't even have the photograph, I don't think,
no.
prior to the announcement. But I mean, was there anything on that journey where you thought there is a chance here, more than just, is he watching me or isn't he watching me?
No, yeah, so I had a phone call after the Bath game in the week just to confirm to me, really, that don't worry that you're not playing for England at the moment. You're still being considered. Like, your form's great, keep it up. It was literally like a minute conversation. I was shaking. I couldn't believe. I was like, what? Because Mark Stevens, one of the managers at the club, said to me, text me saying, it's not a wind up. Warren Gatlin's asked for your number. Don't be surprised if you get a random call. I was just like,
fuck off, Mark.
He's not the funniest of blokes. So I was like, he's definitely not joking. But yeah, it was weird. And so then that was kind of like just a boost for me, just to be like, all right, I'm doing well, just keep going. And then I'm not sure how many people actually get an email or a letter to say, you're being considered, maybe 2 weeks before the selection, and to fill in some bits just for like details and that. But that was it, mate. Then obviously when it gets announced on Sky Sports or whatever stream they used, pretty terrible stream, and that was it. That's when you find out. So it is great. Like, that adds to it, I think, and it also adds to the boys that don't get selected. Like, that's also like the raw bit and like the tough bit of it. That's when you find out, when everyone else, fans, coaches, players, that you don't find out any other way.
Genuine question to both of you, you and Ellis. Would you rather it was announced to the public, but you both know, or is the hype? I mean, for you, Sam, part of it.
I guess it depends. Well,
it's pretty unusual.
For me, because
it's pretty unusual in this day and age that it is. it is revealed.
Yeah, I mean,
because at the same time,
because it went my way and I did get selected. Like that adds to the
excitement.
Yeah, the excitement of it. So like, yeah, I liked the way that was done, and it was the same for Knowlesy back in 2017. Like I don't know if you've seen the video of, we were all having lunch or whatever it was at the club because we had a training day, and that was when he first found out, and it was just like first ever Exeter Chiefs Lion. But other boys might, want to know.
Would you
before.
rather there was a sort of a,
No, I think the mystique about it, the sort of how mysterious it is, I think that's nice. Obviously for me, I didn't get one of those emails. I think I've told you already when Lenny said to me, "Have you got an email?" It was in my junk, let me check. And I was like, yeah, I'll check the junk. So obviously I had a bit more prep to prepare for not getting picked. But I think for example, Johnny Hill, one of my good mates, finding out on the day, probably someone who might have not thought he would have got in. I think that's sick. And then first thing you do as a teammate or a friend is everyone who you know personally, you get in, you just message them straight away, you're so happy for them. And in the same breath, obviously the people who don't get selected, who you would say would be sort of bolt on, i.e. your Sinks and your Stadies, you sort of message them, and it's tough one, isn't it? Bittersweet. You want to say, don't worry about it, mate, but at the same time you sort of want to have a little slap with them. But yeah, I think it's sick for Simon. I remember texting him saying, bro, you deserve it.
That's the thing, mate. Obviously Genge texted me. We had 4 or 5 boys that were also potentially gonna get called up. Johnny Grace, Lady, Jack Noel was talked about, Tom Francis. And straight away, those boys messaged me, and I spoke to them the next day. And obviously, I was gutted for them, but they didn't take anything away from my experience of it at all. They were buzzing. So,
tell me a bit more about the reaction. I love the fact that the beers were pulled, the ring pulls were pulled at 11 a.m. in the Simmonds household. But I mean, if your old man, if your brother, do they do emotion? Do they just say crack into it? What is the reaction from
my dad's very emotional, mate. So is my mum, but my being playing rugby as a youngster, and he played, told me he was quite good. I don't know if he was, everyone said he was, but he's always emotional, at every game he comes to, whether we win or lose. He just wants us to see us do well. And he actually said to me after, because we FaceTime for not too long. He wanted to allow me to ring other people, but he rang me the next day and just said to me Joe was so buzzing for you and so emotional and couldn't believe it. And to be fair, mine and Joe's relationship, we don't tend to show that emotion towards each other. So then for my dad to tell me that that's how he felt, and it was just so nice to hear that from someone else. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
I was going to say that I only know you, a little bit. Obviously, Ellis knows you much better. You've never struck me as a massively over-emotional guy. It seems like when you talk about Exeter, you seem to have that emotion, And obviously, I know that with the England selection stuff, you've kind of done what everybody should always do when they're not getting picked, is just bring the house down. Are you personally quite emotional about stuff like that? Because you seem to be quite. I mean, there's a quote here, I think, from one of your old sort of teammates who said when you came down for a first training session, they couldn't get a word out of you. You didn't say anything. I remember the first time I met you, we didn't really say anything. You were quite quiet, and sometimes quiet can cover up lots of things. I just wondered, are you massively emotional, or are you quite good at that?
I actually think, I am, and I might not have said that maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, first coming on the scene and being a man and so to speak. But I think when I'm emotional, that kind of brings out the best of me in games and in training. And the emotional side of it for me is to be able to play with Joe and to see how proud it makes my family. We've had tough times in finals and that we've lost finals where we feel like we should have won, and those games are so hard to lose. And it's even harder when you then look at your brother and he's crying, and it's tough to take. But then the flip of that is that you get so much emotion, so much motivation to play together and do well together, that when you do win and you do get to lift trophies, it just, you know, you get to play with your best mates and your teammates and friends for life. But to be able to do that with a sibling, your blood, is like, it's hard to explain how good it is.
I remember when I can't remember what game it was, maybe the Bristol game, when Joe, you do that like textbook move when you're out in the back line, and instead of doing the shoulder ball, like he zipped it to you and you ran like a mental try-in. And I thought, fucking hell, that's his brother chucking him the ball.
Yeah.
Like, my sister's never chucking me a seed like that, ever.
Can she pass a seed?
She's all right, she's good at netball, but I don't know, it's different frogs, different times.
She hasn't cleaned up any chandeliers anytime in the last few years, I'm sure. We'll leave that to you. And Rob, his reaction, I mean, because I imagine, you know, there are those, Stuart Hogg inevitably expected to go, but you were a bit more of an outsider. I'd love to know what Rob's reaction is, because there must be an enormous sense of pride for him at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. Like he texted us all straight away, and I think he just said, like, it makes him proud to have 4 Exeter Chiefs players representing England and Scotland, but also representing Exeter. And it kind of, he can take a lot of positivity from that, because, you know, he's built what Exeter are, and he's brought in some players. Johnny Hill wasn't an Exeter Chiefs player; he was at Gloucester, and they brought him in young, but put a lot of time into him, and the improvements he's made from when he first came to now is unbelievable. Completely different bloke, as in size, and even Hoggy, like, they've improved. I feel like as a club, he's improved as a player. He was an unbelievable player before, and I think, the coaching staff, and especially Rob, can take so much from that. And it's kind of, it's just rewards, really, because I think they did set out for this. Like, this was him and Tony Rowe. This was their plan, was to, you know, firstly get promoted from whatever league they were in, I don't know, National 2 or whatever, to the National 1 Championship, to win the Championship, get promoted to the Premiership, and within the 10 years to have won two Premierships and European title is mental. And I mean, we're getting the recognition now that not just we deserve, but like the club deserves, because we've been good.
Are you someone that loves the Lions? And that's sort of quite a generic question, but did you grow up watching them? Did you watch that 97 DVD? Do you get up early in the morning to watch them in New Zealand type thing? Or are you someone that needs to do a bit of that to understand why everyone piles on so much?
I can see why. Like, I can see, I don't know, the history in it. And I've obviously watched the last 2 tours, like and the last South Africa one, actually. But I'd be lying if I said, you know, that was what I wanted to watch. I wanted to be a footballer, mate. I wanted to be Steven Gerrard.
What, playing for fucking Torquay?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough.
But like that's what I wanted to do when I was younger. So I always did watch rugby, and I loved rugby as a youngster. But my dream was to, I don't know, play for Liverpool, play for.
It's not a bad second dream, this, though, I've got to say.
Yeah, but mate, I'm crap at football, so.
Oh. It was a very unrealistic.
Oh, it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. You can only dream.
But the reason I asked the question is because obviously you had what was it, a sort of get together at the Lens? Was it Lensbury? I think. Yeah. Did you and you made it along to that? And I just wonder what your emotions are like when you get handed your Lions Filofax and a bit of a sort of profile photo, and this is what we're going to be doing, guys. I mean, is that very comfortable and off you go, or is it a little bit like, wowzers, this is going up another gear?
Yeah, it definitely is going up another gear, and it's definitely nothing that I've experienced before. Is totally different to England camp, and just it was a lot more chilled than I thought it would be. You know, we got there on the Tuesday, and there was no formal meeting. It was arrive when you want, have a couple beers. There wasn't like a this is what's happening. That was all waited. That was all left to the next day when it was like the media day and the kit and you try all and everything on basically. But that was the best thing about it. I think it just settled the nerves. And I actually was I was nowhere near as nervous as I was to go to England. Sorry, I was more nervous to go to England camp than I was to go to the Lions. And I think like I kind of just, my mindset just changed. It was I've been selected now. You know, people like me. It doesn't matter. Like,
you're good enough.
Yeah. Whereas before, I felt like when I got selected for England, I felt like, you know, I was playing well, but it was just so different. I'd never been involved in any age group stuff, and it was just a different world to me. Yeah.
Because I've got a brilliant. I mean, just because I'd love to get into this in a bit more detail. You've said in the past, where is it? I do understand there are other players playing well as well. Other players have an effect on selection. Eddie picks a team, and it's not easy to get the best England players into 30-old squad. Saying that, I do think I'll get the opportunity, and I'll be more ready than I was in 2017, 2018. It shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
International game is completely different to the club game. It's so physical. It's more like a game of chess, and I found it tough. Training was tough, but I've matured as a player since then, which is exactly what you're saying here. I love the fact that you sort of referenced it in the past. Can you put your finger on what, why, how that maturity has found its way into your game and your world?
I just realised what I want as a player. I realised that I want to play at the highest level. I want to play for England. I want to play for Lions, and whereas before it was like, I don't know, it was just, oh, you're selected to be in the England camp. It was like, oh, that's it, like, job done. And it just isn't that. Like, the best players get better and kick on, and the way that boys train, and so how professional it is. I wasn't used to it. So now being out of the loop and having injuries and having to kind of like start again and work my way back up, you then realize that that's what you want to be back to, and that's what is a driver. And you know, playing for Exeter is amazing. I absolutely love it, but I do want to push on as well.
Ellis, did you go through a similar thing with Leicester, England?
Yeah, I can relate to what Sam's saying. It's almost like the carrot and the stick. You get given a bit of love, and you think, "Fuck, this is perfect, cushy," and you sort of enjoy the ride. But it's the second that you sort of let your guard down and relax that it chews you up and spits you back out. And I think that's probably when, like Sam just said, you find out about yourself, and you either make the decision to kick on and overcome all that, or you can, like I said, just get sucked in by it and not go again. But obviously Sam's done the right thing, and he's carved up now consistently. It's not just, oh, he's had a good game, you know, and there's all that, like, this hype about some players, and they have one good game and then you never see him for the next 2 months, whereas Sam's been doing it week in, week out. For me, I'm not running an 80-meter trailblazing tries. I think all my tries I've ever scored accumulate to one of yours in terms of distance. So, I mean, for my position, maybe a bit different. Like, I had other things that I had to work on. I was very young, 21 when I first come in. So much, and I think some of it maybe was perception. I personally believe in perception's reality. So I think if you do one thing, as in your first impression on someone, if you say, for example, I get dished up in a scrum session when I first come in, and everyone's like, right, you got to work in scrum, and it sort of absorbs you. And I don't know if, Sam, if you had a similar thing, if someone said you need to get bigger, you need to get bigger, you need to get bigger. Whereas now I feel like you've just embraced the fact that you ain't the biggest bloke in the world, but look at you running 50-meter tries all the time. So I feel like I had to sort of understand that about myself as well. Like, I'm not just limited to scrummaging. Let me do my other bits as well. And I think that brings the best out in players, that little bit of adversity, the challenges and stuff.
Because obviously I've sort of been at a remove from it, but watching from a distance, and to have a situation where kind of everybody expects you to get picked for England. You had that moment where you were with England, you know, like you said, you maybe felt that you'd made it, and then you sort of gets a bit of a shock to the system. And that's why I always find it very interesting when you listen to fans and to the media, and they always say, put these players in. And when the players go in and then they find out what it's actually like, you realise it takes a while. And at the end of every season, you think, I've got this cracked. And then you haven't, and it gets tougher and tougher. I just wondered with you, because there was the expectation for you to be with England, but then you weren't. And every interview after every single game was, is that, do you think that's made Eddie Jones listen? Do you think that's made listen? Do you think it made you believe in yourself a little bit more and kind of show you that if you just did your job, did it with a smile on your face, look to get better, that's the kind of key to everything, and everything else will take care of itself. And then when you get called up to Lions, you're actually like, do you know what? Pressure. What pressure? I've already had pressure. I want to play for England. This is a bonus, and and I'm sure when you get to South Africa, you'll feel it. Is it something like that?
Definitely, mate. Yeah, I feel like because I enjoy my rugby so much at Exeter that I'm disappointed when I don't get selected for England. Of course I am, but I'm like, the next best thing is playing for Exeter. So I'm like, it is what it is. Like I want to be there, and I want to be, playing at the highest level, but I also love playing for Exeter. And I mean, if I don't get selected, then it is what it is. And I'm gonna keep enjoying playing for Exeter and keep pushing on. And I genuinely feel like maybe if I was in that England Six Nations campaign, it might have had a worse effect on me potentially being selected for the Lions. It might not have, but it could have. You never know. So I like to try and control what I can control, and at the moment, I've been doing that. I've been just taking things in my stride. If I get selected, then amazing, fucking sick. But if I don't, just don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be like thinking you're not good. You're not good enough to do it, because I've said it before. It's someone's opinion, and if I can perform for Exeter and still get selected, then ideal.
Score more tries.
It's the greatest truism in professional sport that you're better once you've retired. Just ask Hask. We were saying the other day at the Heineken Champions Cup final, someone came up and said how much they'd enjoyed his performance in a World Cup final. So keep doing what you're doing, Sam, in the short term, and you'll be one of the game's greats by the time you finish.
I just wondered, because I've never been in this situation, right? And not many players get it. You occasionally see it where the media and the fans get behind someone and they have that purple patch. You've kind of had, the longer Eddie didn't pick you, the more the purple patch is continued. I wonder, obviously, as a professional sportsman, you don't get too excited about the positives and you don't get too down about the negatives. You control what you can control.
Yeah.
But do you think, is there any part of the hype where people are being so complimentary that's kind of giving you freedom to just express yourself to play, because you kind of, or has it made you feel more pressured because you're like, shit, every day I'm being judged? Or have you been able to like flourish? Because it seems like you've been able to flourish, but I don't know, because I've never been on the receiving end of it.
I think there is kind of that expectation of that can add pressure to me. Yeah, it can. And I guess it's just how you use that pressure. I think playing in a successful team anyway, you have an expectation from the coaches to perform. Like if you don't perform, we have a lot of good players coming through at the moment that aren't getting game time that at other clubs they probably would. So I think in my head, like no matter what people say on Twitter, or at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what they think or say, whether they like me or they don't. The coaching staff at Exeter, pick me for my for how I can add to the game and what I can do on the pitch. So I think I've dealt with pressure quite well, in the last year or so, because there has been a lot of pressure on me. We played in a lot of big games in Europe, and it was the first time any of us pretty much at the club played in any sort of European semi-final or final. And to be able to win was amazing. And you just get on with it, and we're in that job to play in those big games and to perform well. And I think the pressure is probably a good thing.
Eddie Jones sent a text to say well done. What did it actually say?
Well done.
And you replied with fist bump emoji, big hands, hundreds, thousands. What did you ping back?
I think it was just a generic thanks. I had a lot of people to text that day, so
Ooh, cold.
That's
cold.
not.
Don't you try to stitch him up, you
these
pricks.
lions.
No, that day was mental.
Thank you very
like,
much, Mr. Jones. Hope to see you soon.
Was it like that? Listen, bud, Eddie, Chief, speak to my PA. Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah,
thank you.
no.
Catch you later, Chief.
No, like honestly, that it was. I don't
Thank
know.
you very much, Mr.
hadn't
Jones. I hope to see you
experienced
soon.
Anything like that in my career or in my life, like the amount of people that were just buzzing. So
Your phone off? Was
yeah.
it just going off?
Mate, there was one point it was like it was working, so the screen was going off, but it was just buzzing constantly, and I couldn't open it.
Yeah.
I was like, my phone's having an absolute fit. So I just turned it face down and just like paced the room for a little bit, trying to let it sink in.
Sketch it out.
I'm saying that my good luck message before it was announced is why that was a bit of extra luck. I'll take that.
Tell me a little bit more about the Lensbury session. I mean, obviously, there's no sort of tactics being unloaded, but did Warren come over and say, really pleased to have you? Did Alan Wynne-Jones say, welcome along, Sam, big things expected? Or was it just very sort of process, formulaic?
Yeah, it was very,
factory?
Yeah, it was very like casual. Said hello to everyone that was there. The amount of staff is ridiculous. Like, there's probably more staff than players, just because like of how big the media side of it has to be this year without fans, and all the logistics of travel and everything like that, and getting to know everyone and knowing names and stuff like that is tough. But yeah, there wasn't any long conversations that went down with any coaches. Well, not for me anyway. It was just a hello, well done, like you deserve it, and then have a beer.
Amazing. I love that. I love how simple these things are. There's a very, very good book which is out at the moment, which I strongly recommend you read, actually. It's slightly higher up the...
Honestly thought you were going to say, what a flanker then.
Yeah, I honestly thought you were as well, because when you say it's higher up, who sold more copies?
Yeah,
let's check it.
Cool. Okay. What a flanker. Go buy it if you haven't already. But there is a very, very good book out at the moment called This Is Your Everest, and it's the story of the 97 tour. Sam, what year were you born?
94.
Bloody hell. Okay, so it won't mean a lot to you because you won't have watched it and won't have seen it, but it's one of those, like Oasis at Nebworth, again, which you won't have seen. It's one of those sort of cult moments. It's one of those cult sporting stories, the 97 Lions tour. And what is so good about it is that there are so many players who went on that tour and beat the world champion Springboks in their own backyard, who weren't expected to be the test players when they got on the plane. And it's even, the people like Tom Smith and Paul Wallace, these names won't necessarily mean a lot to you, but those who love their rugby, it will mean a lot to you. Jeremy Davison, Matt Dawson, all, went as tourists, but weren't expected to star. And it's just the most phenomenal personal recollections of this tour. And I do genuinely recommend you read it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant on the insight in South Africa. It's brilliant on the Lions, etc. But I want to know from you, you haven't played for England. There are lots of players who played a lot of international rugby. Do you go to South Africa thinking, I want that test shirt?
Obviously, everyone on the plane wants to play in the big games and wants to play in as many games as possible. But me and Johnny Hills kind of sat down and after being selected, and we were like, kind of said, it's going to be tough. Like, it's going to be tough to get into that test team, but we've been given the opportunity, and we wouldn't have been selected if wouldn't have been selected just to go on the tour for the sake of it because of the media hype. We've been selected because we've had great years and great 2 years really, and we're playing well. So I think Warren Gatland said in the media that everyone's going to get opportunity to play in those first 5 games, and then again, like I said to you last time, it's then up to me to play well. And I said it last time, strange things have happened, and you never know. So I'm obviously, I'm wanting to play in that test team, start or on the bench, and try to add as much as I can to win a test series.
Do you daydream when you're stuck in traffic, or when you can't quite get to sleep, or I don't know, when you're out and about putting the bins out and just think, Christ, in 3 months' time, ...
Yeah, I mean, definitely before games, like before big games here, I lie in bed and I'm thinking tomorrow I'm make a break from my own try line, score the winning try when we're 6 points down or something like that. And I think like most boys would think like that in before big games, and you always want to be that hero that slots a drop goal or scores a winning try or something like that. So I think definitely will start to come into my head the more real it gets and the closer it gets to touring.
Ellis, do you dream of going the full 90 or a winning drop goal?
I don't know. I think the scrums take it
Scrum,
out of my
probably.
legs. They take it out of my legs so much. I got 20 meters max, I reckon.
Imagine daydreaming about scrums. Ugh. Ellis, awful.
Always pays the bills.
Certainly does that. Go on, Hask. Sorry.
I just wonder if you. I know we talked about the emotion. Are you sentimental? Like when you got your kit bag and stuff. Because I remember you didn't do any of the age group stuff with England, but I remember, and it's the same for any player really. They all talk about stash, getting those kind of kit. Did you open this that bag, have a look at it, and just think, fair play, or do you not really? You're not materialistic.
I'm not too materialistic, I don't think, but with something like that, you meet everyone, you see players that you played against, players that have done so much in the game, and it's a little bit of a surreal moment, and then you go back up to your room and you're on your own, and you're like, like, what am I doing here? And then that like all your kit's in your room. I mean, the amount of kit they give you is obscene. Like, you don't need that much kit.
You shouldn't have said that bad.
We shouldn't have said that bad. Oh, mate.
Yeah.
You screwed that.
You didn't get any kit. You didn't get any kit, did you?
Yeah. But it is a surreal moment to be able to look at it and put it on and try it all on, and it's like, it is what dreams are made of for any professional rugby player, I guess.
Have you sent anything down to? Where did you start playing? Tynemouth.
Teignmouth, yeah.
Teignmouth. Have you sent a pair of socks or a pair of shorts?
Not yet. Nah, not yet. Because we left it all there. We tried it all on, but obviously then we're coming back to our clubs, and whether we make the semi-final or finals, we probably won't be meeting up with because they're out in Jersey, I think 2 weeks before for a camp. But likelihood is we'll be missing that. Touch wood. So
touch wood. Am I right in saying that you've got not just a sort of big few months, but have you got something else quite substantial on the horizon?
Yeah, little baby on the way. Yeah.
Talk about living your best life. How long have you got to go?
Mrs. is due in October, so I'll be back with 2 months to go or something like that.
Perfect.
If 2020 sort of went Control Alt Delete, 2021's got a lot happening. Do you know what make you're getting? Girl or boy?
Nah. We're left that as a surprise.
Good on you. Very sad.
Why?
Yeah,
No
you
interest.
found out, Genge, didn't you?
Yeah.
Mate, we both said that we always wanted to have it as a surprise, but then when we went for the 12-week scan, I was like sat there like, I want to know now. I want to know. But she was like, no, we're not finding out. And then after that, like, I was like, I'm glad I didn't, because I mean, I can't change it. It's going to be what it is going to be. So it'll just be an amazing surprise when it happens.
Can I just check? Are you dreaming of going 90 meters from your own try line when you've got a couple of minutes spare, or are you dreaming of pushing prams and singing lullabies?
Don't answer that.
Don't answer that. Trick question. I mean, unbelievable though, Sam. That is a remarkable year, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, do you give yourself a bit of time to sort of enjoy the ride?
Yeah.
Or are you someone that has to keep going and chasing the next thing?
No, I do feel like I am on to the next, like, kind of keep it going, because I think after every year and when I come to the end of my career, I'll be able to reflect on it well. But I do feel like I have had times in my career where you'll almost like sit back and like you're feeling yourself a little bit, and that can get in the way of getting better and performing well. And if you think you're performing well and you tell yourself you're performing well, you kind of just stop then. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep playing well, keep scoring tries, and keep winning with Exeter. And I know that when I see my dad, and it's for them to speak to me about how I'm playing and to be proud and stuff like that. And that's what I love the most, is seeing my family proud of me and proud of Joe. So yeah, I don't sit back too much and reflect on it that much. But when it happens, it happens. And with the finals last year, it was great days, unbelievable days. And as a sportsman, like I said, you can't sit back because there's someone always coming for you. And we've seen that with how well the teams have played in the latter stages of this season. There's always someone coming to take it off you. So
enjoy it when you win.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy the ride.
Sorry, Payne, before you go, Simon, a bit of a personal question you don't have to share if you don't want to. Do you see like a sports psych or a sports therapist for, obviously you've had a big year and like you said, you keep it going, but you face a lot of challenges. Do you talk to anyone about that, or is it yourself that gets you through it?
I actually don't. And I probably think it would be a benefit to me, to be fair. Emily, my partner, always says like I need to talk more. I need to, and I kind of
they all say that,
really,
they
do.
They all say that.
Really do.
But I kind of use her as my release a little bit, to be able to speak to her, and she's amazing at just listening to me. And it's very rare that I do actually open up about that type of stuff, but I think when I do, like, it's good. It helps me, and whether it adds to being a sportsman or not, or just a bloke in general, it's always good to talk. But I know a lot of other boys have like people that they chat to, don't they, and mentors and stuff like that. And I mean, it can only help. Like, it's definitely not doing any harm.
Yeah.
I wonder how do you switch off? Like, what is it that you do outside of? I mean, because you're about to have a kid, so your life's over, Chief.
You're a gamer, aren't you, Sam?
When you said about running 90 meters, you'll be running 90 meters for when your missus goes, "It's your time to look after the baby." You're like, sorry, love. Yeah. What do you do? How does Sam Simmonds unwind?
Yeah, I do game a lot, to be fair. A lot of my mates back home, to be fair, that I went to school with, because we have such a good relationship with the boys at the club, and we do play together. But I mean, you see them every day, and I genuinely mean every day. Like, because Exeter is so small, every day off we're together. We're having breakfast together, having coffees together, and I know it's different at other clubs because they live in bigger cities. So to travel is, mate, even when I have a child, I think the days off are literally going to be like a 5-minute drive to Darts Farm or Greendale Farm Shop, and we love it like that. That's what works, and it gets a bit boring and it gets a bit same. But like the lads will tell you, like we've done it pretty much every day off for the last 4 years. Boys just love the routine, and that's what I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of sport in general, but I don't find it hard to switch off from rugby. Like, we have long days of training, and by the end of it, it's like, like, how much more can watching, I don't know, say we're playing Worcester, watching how they play, and it just gets, and you play them every year, twice a year anyway. I've played them for the last 6 years. I know what they do, and it's the same every time.
Bro, some people can't switch off.
I know, right? The coaches love it. Like, fuck being a coach.
I quickly wanted to ask you, with that in mind, is it cider business you've got?
Yeah, so
I was going to ask you how that's going and how much you're enjoying that alongside the. Obviously, you're not going into a coaching box anytime soon, but you know.
Yeah, that takes our mind off it. Yeah, I think I said to you last time, Alex, it's been a tough year for a lot of jobs like that, and where you need events, you need pubs, you need things going on, because their product is cider. And we created a cider called Rib Tickler with Sanford Orchards, which is a local cider press in Crediton, in 2019, along with Johnny Hill, Sam Skinner, Phil Dolman, Toby Salmon, and then 2 other boys, James Freeman, Pete Laverick, all ex-Chiefs players. And at first it was a lot of us were injured, and it was something to put your teeth into other than rehab, really. And it's just grown. It's just become a project that we enjoy doing. We enjoy selling it, and hopefully, in the future it'll be good because they sell some great ciders anyway, and they do really well with their main ciders, but they try and push ours as much as they can. And Barney, who's the owner down there, absolutely loves the Chiefs and loves what we do, and it's nice to not just be a rugby player sometimes, and
Yeah, right.
and you're gonna need stuff like that. Whether I go into I don't know, cider, but I could go into.
We all go into cider, mate,
Yeah,
every now and then.
yeah,
You can't drink all the profits. That's the problem.
But like whether I go into, I don't know, sales after, or you never know what I'm going to have to do after rugby. So if I can open a few doors by selling some cider and it tastes good as well, then it's ideal.
Is that what Joe opened when you got announced on FaceTime?
Probably wasn't, but I'm going to say yes, it was.
Yeah, fuming.
Hashtag brand ambassador. You should send a pallet to Jersey for team bonding. There's
Definitely.
I
sales
might
on the back
take
of
a
that.
You must have had him in the bag. Johnny would have, 100%.
Mate, that's the thing, like, because you go into something like that, you're like, there's whispers like it's going to be some beers, and you're just like, yeah, all right, like, you just don't know. Now looking back, I should have fucking took loads.
100% you should have.
You should genuinely get some shipped out to Jersey. Just speak to the team manager and say, listen, I'd like to hook the lads up. I know that they're sponsored by, is it Chase Vodka or whatever they're doing?
Yeah,
Chase Gin Vodka.
Yeah.
But there's no cider partner.
No, you're right.
There you go.
Johnny would be
Me
charging.
and Johnny going over with
tight.
fucking 2 crates of it.
Imagine that, just pouring it on the stuff. Oi, Gats, get that round you.
On the pipe. Oh, Sam, what a year. I tell you what, we love, just so many things to wish you well for and to wish you the very best. Obviously, you and Emily mainly, but I think it's Serene McGeechan who said the Lions makes legends, and you've got a hell of a shot in front of you. It's been really nice having you on. It's been really good to chew the fat. We wish you the very best of luck, obviously, in the short term.
Alex, I am not finishing without doing the Liverpool quiz.
Go on, then.
We need to. And you got the questions for him?
Yeah, I've got a question for you if you want to hear it. It basically, so apparently you reckon that you were an absolute mastermind, right? And that your specialist subject would be Liverpool.
You quoted it.
This is your quote.
Yeah.
Let me just read the quote. Set the scene,
I should
right?
have.
It said, well, don't, just go steady. It's my show.
Go on.
Right, okay. He said, when asked what the specialist subject would be on mastermind, Simmonds said, Liverpool Football Club, say the last 12 or 15 years. I try and back myself on that, right? So we've got a little bit of a test for you now. Can you name
like a mug?
Can you name? Well, listen, it happens to me every day, Chief.
No
That's my
pressure,
life.
man.
I am a
Well.
professional. I'm a professional mug. That's basically what I do. Can you name the 2005 Champions League winning side?
We had this as a quiz on our bus.
It's no good being on a bus, mate. You're live on the biggest rugby podcast in the world.
The biggest bus.
Yeah, the biggest bus, full of cider. Hopefully, if you send it, look after the lads because we could.
Dudek in goal.
No doubt.
Yes, correct.
Carragher and Sammy Hippier centre backs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think
Amy.
Risa played left mid, not
Has to
left
be John
back.
Anarisa.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
Hell of a ring.
Obviously,
Come on, boy!
Stevie G, Xabi Alonso in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's where it gets tough because these now you go to the.
You've got
shitters.
1, 2, 3,
Oh, so
4,
you've gone
5
early
left.
on the shitters. Some
You've
good
got
players
5.
in there.
You've got 5. You've just called them
up
Champions
top.
League winners shitters.
Yeah.
I love it.
Milan Barros. Did he start?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, up front,
Number 6.
alongside.
Oh, this is tough, isn't it?
Better than I thought. You are a bit of a keno. I like
A
it.
prime Torres?
Nah, he wasn't there then.
Oh, tried to trick you.
Right back. Was it Finnan?
Yes.
Correct. I didn't think you'd get that one.
And left back. Oh.
Done left back, ain't you?
No, I did left mid. John Henrique, I'm pretty sure played left mid. They pushed him forward.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. I'll go right mid. Smitsa
Came off the bench.
came off the bench. Scored
Give him
a
that.
screamer, mind.
Yeah. he
Give
did.
him that. Give him that.
I'll give him that. That's off bench, fine.
Who was Barros up top with?
Aussie.
Oh right, Harry Kewell, really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And you've got one more. You've got 2 more to get, and
He's
that's
the left
it.
back. Well, I can't. What's the other position that I need?
I don't know where the hell the plays.
Right
Right
mid.
wrong man. I don't know any of these people.
I'm gonna have to.
Right mid and left back.
Do you want to?
It wasn't Jermaine Pennant on the right. Nah, that's way too late.
It's all right. You didn't
I'll
say
take
the
that.
answer.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've started
Okay.
off
Have a stab in the dark. Stab in the dark.
I can't remember his name. The left back.
JT.
Sounds.
Traore.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the other one sounds Spanish.
Luis Garcia.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, you basically got. Was it?
I think that's all right.
9 out of 11. 9 out of 11. And if you get,
Sneaks her off the bench.
88%. It's not bad.
I'll take that. I can honestly say I would have got none of them.
Well, not Gerrard, surely.
You would have got Gerard.
I mean,
Maybe.
you're giving me too much credit, lads. I probably wouldn't have got that. But I would have maybe
What was
Gerard's.
the line for Gerard's goal?
It was
Clive
the what?
Tilsley. What was the commentary line for Gerard's goal? I
Dunno,
was thinking
it
about
was-
the Man
Gerard!
Cream of a header.
Goal!
I was thinking about the United one in '99 as well. Can United score? They always score. Bang! Hits the back of the net. It was something quite iconic like that as well. That was a hell of a night.
Football's good, isn't it? Jesus.
Why Liverpool?
My stepbrother supported him when I was a youngster, and obviously, some impression on me. And then as I got older, I just literally like Steven Gerrard was just like an icon to me. I thought he was unbelievable, and I always, when I played football, always wanted to be number 8. And then it's worked out. I play number 8 now, which is quite cool. But looking back, like I always wanted to pretty much be him. Like he was a beast.
Yeah, red number 8.
Yeah.
I love that though, but the old problem is the red shirt clashes with the old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's the problem, innit? You
can't
sort
get
of
burnt
need
as well.
That's what I mean, because you'll look awful. If a kid,
It might offset it. It might offset it.
Well, no, it clashes, mate. Burgundy with bright red and white. Yeah.
I'd really built up the end for a really nice big crescendo and wishing him the very best. Instead, we're just ripping shorts down. Sam, go forth and conquer. Honestly, you've got so much to look forward to, and genuinely, it's been lovely to have you on. Wish you the very, very best. It's going to be a lot of fun watching it all come together for you. Any final thoughts, Ellis? What have you got this week?
What have I got this week? We've got Bristol at home. Looking forward to it.
Big game.
Yeah.
Just quickly, you personally, the flames coming out of your exhaust pipes right now. Are you loving it? Are you happy?
Like Sam said, I'm just trying not to think about it, to be honest. And just go next. Yeah, just go next because it hurts. So just don't think about it.
You've done bloody well on this one. Thank you for coming on. Hoff, keeping the crisis to one arm, arm's length.
Yeah. I mean, there's no drama coming up. I don't think. I'm excited. We've got the RPA awards. We're going to do this week. Obviously, we interviewed. Hopefully, we'll see maybe Sam back on there. You never know. I'm very excited. For both these boys. I think it's great. I've obviously been out of the game a while now, and to see two guys do it so well, and especially with Sam, I can only imagine what it's like of not being selected, but just getting on with it and doing it and loving it and smiling it and carving up and getting on the Lions tour. I think I'm a big one. I'm a big fan for fairy tales. That's what I love about sport. It's not necessarily the playing. It's the, I saw the for example, the Champions League with Chelsea versus Man City. I love the fact that, Man City had never got to a Champions League final before or won one. And they got all the way there. Chelsea, Lampard was in, and then he was awful. Then then the new coach came in, Tuchel, and he gets them there. They lose the FA Cup. Are they going to win the final? And I love those journeys. It's a bit like Sam with this roller coaster. Like he's out, he's in, he's breaking records. Everyone's pleased to see him. Ellis, like during all that stuff was like, persona non grata is going to set up a rebel organisation. Then he tries on fire. That's what I live for. This is what I live for, and also. The best thing about both these guys is they're both lovely people to speak to. So I'm full of the world of joy at the moment. And we've got the RPA awards. We get to interview more people. I haven't caused any international scandal. Got a bit of a suntan. The pipes are looking okay. The DJ set went well. What more do you? And do you know what? I had a pizza this afternoon outside. It was delightful.
What one?
Oh, I went for Papa John's actually. I've been a Domino's man for a while, but they've got open one up near me. Revolutionary. Honestly, revolutionary. Jalapeno poppers. Chloe's going to get pissed because she didn't know I had them. Jalapeno poppers and just a beautiful little meat feast pizza, mate. Just slid down. Bertie was all, sitting next to me watching me eat it. I had the music on. It was just a dream. Life's good.
Jalapeno poppers or jalapeno poppers?
Well, depends what kind of night it is. It might be jalapeno, poppers, but actually it was. Yeah. Well, he's a bit after the show. Like, see two
I
young.
didn't know Papa John's went into that kind of.
Well, after
Who's
seeing
Papa
two young,
John?
Yeah, exactly. He was the guy he was the bloke with the bag of dillies and poppers. That is not. You thought it was a pizza guy. When I said I had Papa John, what did you think I meant?
I knew what you meant, baby.
Yeah, you knew what I meant, baby. Yeah, exactly. But no, listen, I'm full of the fruits of summer. The boys, the boys are on fire. Young bucks out doing it. I'm a very happy man, and I'll try to stay out of trouble till next week.
Good on you. Go get them, Sam. I tell you what, you're like, it's going to change in October, but you've got a hell of an opportunity to write some big headlines in the next few weeks. Go forth and conquer. Just before we go, a quick reminder, you can now purchase the newest range of GBNR merch together with the England kit manufacturer Umbro. They haven't produced a bin juice shirt from last week's show, but we have still got Don't Haskell the Half, The Lord's Work, Loose Rhino, Butternutter, and No Payne and Geno. Head to umbro.co.uk/goodbadrugby to find the selection. And in case you've missed it, we have entered into a demo training competition with some of the Saris players in partnership with City Index, the global provider of spread betting, CFD and Forex trading. This week, we're running a competition that is sure to whet a few appetites. Thanks to the team at City Index, you can win a signed Saracens match ball and a playing jersey, as well as a signed shirt from us at the Good, the Bad, and the Rugby. Look out for the competition posts across our social channels for more details on how to enter. The competition closes on the 4th of June, and the winner will be contacted by a direct message from the official The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby account. Good luck. We are back next week, as Hask says, with the RPA Awards. In the words of Alan Partridge, they have given us a second series. Who'd have thought it? We'll see you next week. Sam, the best of luck to you once again. Ellis, go forth. Keep rampaging. Ladies and gents, to see us out, here's Rob Brydon. Bye-bye.